Before you pack that U-Haul and head for the beach, I want you to hear this side of the story. When I talk to people about moving to Brevard County, I also talk to the ones who quietly regret moving here. So today we're walking through the top reasons people regret moving to Brevard County, and importantly, how you can avoid being one of them. I'm not here to scare you away. I'm here to make sure you don't move here on a vacation fantasy and then wake up in a reality that you didn't sign up for. So hey, I'm Carrie Leota, a real estate agent here on Florida's Space Coast. I'm based in Merritt Island, and I specialize helping people relocate to Brevard County all over the place, like Cocoa Beach, Merritt Island, Viera, Melbourne, Palm Bay, and all those spots you're Googling when you're dreaming about palm trees and rockets. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the financial realities that surprise people, the weather and the lifestyle shocks nobody told them about, the culture, schools, and day-to-day life that can really feel different from what you're used to. And by the end, you're going to know if Brevard is truly a great fit for you or choosing a different part of Florida. And if you decide to move, you'll do it with your eyes wide open. Let's start with the number one regret that I hear. We thought it would be cheaper. Here's what actually happens. Someone from, say, New York, New Jersey, or the Midwest sells a home, moves to Brevard, and on paper, everything looks great. Home prices seem reasonable compared to what they're leaving. No state income tax, sunshine, done deal. And then all the bills start showing up. First, homeowner's insurance. If you're coming from a low-risk area, your jaw may drop when you get to Florida, especially if you're anywhere near the water or in an older home. We got hurricane risks, older roofs. Stricter underwriting means insurance can be a big chunk of your monthly payment. And then second, we have special assessments and HOA costs. Condos, especially older coastal buildings, can hit homeowners with major assessments for roofs, structural repairs, concrete restoration, and these are not small numbers. I've talked to owners who've had to sell because an assessment wiped out their savings. And then third, property taxes and utilities. Yes, we often pay less on property taxes than some high tax states, but combined with the higher insurance, big AC bills in our long summers, possible flood insurance, and suddenly that cheap Florida living feels a lot less cheap. But the big regret here is this. People budget based on the mortgage payment they see on a listing site, not the true monthly cost of living in that specific home in this specific county. So if you're thinking about moving here, I want you to do this. Before you fall in love with the house, get realistic estimates for insurance, taxes, HOA or condo fees, and utilities. And if you want help running those numbers, that's exactly what I do on relocation consults. All right, now let's talk about the giant humid elephant in the room, Florida weather. A lot of people move here to escape snow. They imagine themselves walking on the beach every day, sipping coffee outside every morning, living this breezy coastal lifestyle. Here's the truth. There absolutely are gorgeous days here, but for a big chunk of the year, it's hot and humid and sticky. The feels like temperature in the middle of the day can be brutal, but if you're not used to it, you may find yourself hiding indoors with the AC cranked up way more than you imagined. Then we have our daily summer thunderstorms. In the rainy season, it can feel like clockwork. Sunshine, then clouds, then a downpour, and lightning. If you pictured your endless, dry sunshine, that can be a rude awakening. And of course, we've got hurricane season. Even if Brevard isn't taking a direct hit every year, the stress is still there. You're tracking storms, making evacuation decisions, hauling shutters, possibly losing power. Newcomers often tell me, I knew hurricanes were a thing, but I didn't realize how much mental and emotional energy they take. On top of that, we've got mosquitoes, no-see-ums, palmettos. Florida's still the subtropics. Evenings outside can be amazing, but they usually involve bug spray, screened-in porches, or both. So if you're thinking about moving here, ask yourself honestly, how do I handle the heat? Am I okay with months of heavy humidity? How do I feel about prepping for storms every year? The people who are the happiest in Brevard, and there's a ton of them, they're the ones that say, I'll take hurricanes and heat over snow and ice any day. And they truly mean it. And that was me. The ones who regret it usually underestimate this part. All right, the next big regret. We moved for lifestyle and assumed we'd figure out the job situation later. Brevard has a very unique economy. On one side, you've got aerospace, defense, tech, NASA, SpaceX, Blue Origin, Northrop, L3Harris, those types of employers. Those jobs can pay very well if you're in that world. On the other side, you've got a lot of service industry, retail, hospitality, restaurants, smaller local businesses. Many of those wages do not match the cost of living that people imagined when they decided to move here. So what I see is this. Somebody moves with no solid job lined up, or they assume they can easily replicate their old salary here. Then they get here, realize the local job market for their specific niche is thin, and they end up either underemployed or commuting much farther than they expected. Another scenario, people move here with a remote job, and then the company changes policy and wants them back in the office. Suddenly, they're stuck in a job market that doesn't match their skill. And if your income is tied to a specific industry or pay level, you need to pressure test that before you move. Don't assume we'll just figure it out. The regret I hear is we love living here, but the money side has been way more stressful than we planned. So if you're dreaming about this move, I want you to do a reality check. Do you have confirmed job or remote situation that's truly stable? Does that income support the real cost of living here? If you're not sure, that's a sign to slow down and plan. Now let's talk about something more personal. Brevard County is a mix. We've got beach towns, older Florida neighborhoods, newer master plan communities, pockets that feel more rural, and a range of political and social views. Some people move here from big, diverse, very progressive cities and are surprised by how different the local culture feels. You may see more visible political expression than you're used to. You may hear conversations or encounter attitudes that feel like very different from what your current bubble is. On the flip side, some people move here looking for a slower, more traditional, more conservative environment and absolutely love it. The regret happens when people assume beach town automatically equals laid back, apolitical, cosmopolitan coastal vibe. That's not always the case. There are areas that feel more like that and areas that don't. The other piece is lifestyle. If you're used to a big nightlife, late night dining, and endless cultural events, part of Brevard may feel quiet. Many businesses close earlier than people expect. We do have great restaurants and live music, local events. It's not Miami and it's not New York. My advice before you move, spend real time here off vacation mode. Go grocery shopping, sit in a coffee shop and listen, drive around at night, visit neighborhoods, and ask yourself, do I feel like I fit here? Real estate can get you a house, but if you don't feel like you belong in the community, that's where true regret lives. For families, regret often centers around schools and the overall environment for kids and teens. Online, you'll see test scores, ratings, maybe some comments. That's a starting point, but it doesn't tell you the full story. Parents I talked to mentioned concerns about funding and resources in certain schools, buildings that feel worn down, big differences in culture and expectations from one zone to the next. There are excellent options in Brevard, including public schools, magnet schools, charters, and private. But like any county, there's also schools that may not match what you're used to. Another piece is the social environment for teens. Who their peers are, what kids do for fun, what kind of pressures do they face. In some areas, you'll hear about entitlement and heavy social media pressure, and others, kids might be bored or feel like there's nothing to do. So if you're moving with kids, I always recommend talk to multiple parents who actually have kids in the specific schools you're considering. Visit campuses if possible, thinking beyond test scores about culture, extracurriculars, and your child's personality. The regret I hear often is we picked the house first and then realized the school situation wasn't at all what we expected. So let's flip that around for you. So here's one that surprises a lot of people. It's the traffic and the layout. Brevard is not Orlando, but it's not a sleepy little beach town where you bike everywhere. We have a lot of bridges and causeways that act as choking points. When there's an accident or at rush hour, those can back up quickly. Main roads can feel busier than expected, especially as growth continues. Most Brevard is very car dependent. Outside of a few walkable pockets, you're driving to almost everything. Work, groceries, school, and restaurants. Public transportation is limited, so if you're used to a walkable neighborhood and robust transit, that can be a real adjustment. People also underestimate drive times between different parts of the county. That short drive you plan to the beach or to Orlando or to a particular job can feel like a lot longer when you're doing it twice a day. So the key here is to map out your life before you decide on a neighborhood. Where would you like to work? Where would you like your kids to go to school? Where do you want to spend your free time? Then reverse engineer the areas and then it makes sense, because there's nothing worse than loving your house but hating the drive you're stuck with every day. Now let's get honest about lifestyle. So many people fall in love with Brevard while they're on vacation. They're at the beach, they're watching rocket launches, going out to eat, exploring cute little downtown areas, and then they move here expecting every day to feel like that. But real life is still real life. There's work, school, drop-offs, errands, doctor's appointments, and if you came from a mega city with unlimited entertainment, you might hit a point where you say, is this it? So we do have fun things to do like boating, beaches, fishing, festivals, live music, farmers market. But if your ideal weekend is art museums, big concerts, and endless new restaurants, you're probably going to be driving to Orlando pretty often. Some people thrive here with a simpler, outdoors-oriented lifestyle. They love being on the water. They don't mind going to bed early. They're happy with a handful of favorite spots. Others get bored and restless. So ask yourself, what does my actual ideal week look like? Not your fantasy vacation week, the normal one. If that week exists here, you might love it. If not, Brevard might be better as your vacation spot than your full-time home. The last regret I want to touch on is emotional. Moving to Florida often means putting a lot of distance between you and your support system. Parents, adult children, grandkids, lifelong friends. In the excitement of palm trees and sunshine, it's easy to say, we'll visit all the time. Then a year or two goes by, flights get expensive, health issues come up, you miss birthdays, ball games, random Sunday dinners. For some people, that's fine. They were ready for a new chapter. For others, it hits harder than they expected. I hear from people who say, we love it here, but we miss our people so much, we're thinking about moving back. That's a very real form of regret that has nothing to do with hurricanes or insurance. It doesn't mean you shouldn't move. It just means you need to be very honest with yourself and with your spouse or family about how you handle distance and change. So after all that, do I think people should move to Brevard County? For the right person, absolutely. I wouldn't live here, and I definitely wouldn't help people relocate here if I didn't think it could be an amazing place to live. But the people who love it most are the ones who came in with realistic expectations. They understood the costs, they knew what the weather would feel like, they thought about jobs, schools, lifestyle, and culture. They didn't try to turn their one-week vacation into their everyday life without a plan. If you're still watching this and you're seriously considering moving to Brevard, I have people all the time that just text me and ask me questions. What's your biggest question or your biggest fear about moving to the Space Coast? My contact information is below. Don't hesitate. I'd be glad to sit down and chat with you. Thanks for watching. Every week I have multiple videos on what it's like to live in Brevard County. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and I'll see you in the next video.